Well, welcome to another Cary Imports review featuring the 2002 Cadillac DTS DeVille. Not even gonna lie, I had a picture of this thing on my wall when I was a kid, so that kind of may have perhaps influenced my taste of vehicles growing up. But no matter, when you're in this car, you are like every single member of the Sopranos. So that's also another reason why I want to try this out. But if you're interested in a $5,000 or actually less than $5,000 Cadillac DeVille, you can hit up Garrett or Adam at Cary Imports, and they would be more than happy to hook you up with this and like a $2,000 warranty to pretty much be, in your own mind, a celebrity, basically. All right, well, this bad boy handles pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the way this thing drives. It is actually pretty cool. It's really a very unique driving experience, I'm not gonna lie. There is a great sense of speed in this thing, and that's something that, you know, a spec sheet can never explain to you. It's not particularly powerful, and it's not really that fast, but it's that classic 4.6 liter North Star engine, which, you know, I'm sure everybody knows about that by now. But that thing produced about 300 horsepower in this DTS trim. Any other trim below this, it's going to produce about 275 horsepower. So something to keep in mind, this fully loaded DTS is the most powerful one, and it does produce 295 pounds-feet of torque. The numbers aren't bad, but it's just like the speed isn't, the velocity of this isn't quite like what you would expect, but, and you know, those numbers are pretty good for the most part, but it's just like, you know, it's the sensation that makes this exciting, not so much, you know, the actual speedometer climbing. That's not quite that good, but it feels good, and that's what matters. We're about to demonstrate that here after these idiots get their act together. Foot all the way down, just hit 45. And, you know, that's really not that bad, but it's just like when you're doing 45, 50 miles per hour on this thing, it feels like you're doing absolute Mach 1 speeds. And this thing it's surprisingly really controlled in here. I believe this car has like this type of suspension setup where it's like actively dampening. Basically, it's like one of the first iterations of that type of technology. Obviously, Cadillac, Chevy, they're known for that magnetic ride control now, but this is kind of that first generation of an active suspension setup, and I'm not gonna lie, it does seem to be working pretty good. When you push this thing a lot, yeah, there's like some body roll, but over the really rough stuff, even, you know, you feel it a little bit, but it is actually extremely comfortable, even over like the worst pavement types, basically. But it retains a really nice driving dynamic. I do like the feel of the steering wheel. It's that, you know, thin rimmed steering wheel, very, very gangster, of course, you know, gripping on that grain. I'm about to test out that handling here one more time because this is actually a lot of fun, actually. It is a front wheel drive vehicle, but tons of grip, actually. Yeah, no, this is really nice, and the braking is it's very progressive. It's not like the brand new cars, obviously, where it just gives you all the bite up front. It's not like that. This, you really have to like dig deep into the brakes, but it feels really good. It stops the vehicle extremely well. You have surprisingly a lot of confidence. It's not like what you would expect this Cadillac to feel, like this big wallowy thing. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying this is like a 911, but this is surprisingly a taut vehicle, and that's kind of why I like to test drive these older luxury vehicles, because it's really not what people make them out to be. They can actually be a ton of fun and extremely rewarding to drive. I wish the micro bounces in here could be, you know, sorted out a little bit better, but for the most part, this is just so much fun that I don't really care. You know, like I said, there's a bit of play in the steering in the mid section, but it's really it feels natural, so I don't really care too much. But this is a pretty direct vehicle overall, though. And that suspension, you can tell there's something intelligent going on when you drive it. Yeah, no, this feels extremely direct. You know, and it is still a V8, so the engine is absolutely buttery smooth. You know, this thing has about 100,000 miles on it, a little under 99,800. And I think the worst part about this is like the interior, which I'll get to in that interior segment. But as a driving experience, I think it's pretty much perfect. There's a tons of little like gizmos and gadgets in here that I'm not going to mess with until I get to the interior segment. But there's a couple of steering wheel controls here as well, so that kind of makes it convenient, like volume controls and even a temperature control as well, so that's pretty cool. The wind noise, all that stuff, tire noise is extremely well controlled in here. It's a pretty smooth and refined vehicle. Not a lot of tire noise, not a lot of wind noise either, and I just chucked this thing into that corner and just handled it like a champ. Let's see how that turning radius is. Not that good. No, this is like the turning radius of this is like worse than that Lexus LX that I drove actually. Yeah, turning radius is quite poor in here, but no matter. It shouldn't stop you from being the mob gangster that you've always wanted to be. Yeah, no, this is such a gangster feeling vehicle. I love this thing. This thing with the warranty, oh my God, it is so sick. I would love to have this actually. This drives a lot more similar to the Mercedes S-Class than it does to the LS Lexus. Honestly, the Lexus vehicles are like the most floatiest, at least my generation LS that I owned. It is definitely the most like floaty vehicle that I've ever experienced. I thought I would expect that out of this Cadillac, but no, this is definitely far more taut feeling, far more engaging to drive than the Lexus LS vehicles. Front wheel drive, this is going to make it a pretty nice like all-rounder vehicle. Put some snow tires on it and this can be like your all-rounder vehicle too, so that's good. I know a lot of people, they want to have that rear wheel drive dynamic, but this is going to be far more practical in everyday use basically. Kind of wrapping up this review, so what is it? It's comfortable and it's surprisingly fun to drive and fun to just hustle through corners and things of that nature. Now I can see how like in the Sopranos, like everybody's kind of flooring this thing. Everybody's just like going crazy in their Cadillacs. Now I kind of see how they can do that. I bet this thing felt amazing when it was brand new. And it's kind of reminiscent of how brand new Cadillacs are today. I mean, Cadillacs like today, I love the way a brand new Cadillac drives. It is so smooth and so confidence inspiring. Like people don't really understand. And it kind of got that bad rep. Like Cadillac's got that big floaty kind of car rep from this generation basically, but I'm here to tell you that this thing is actually even more engaging to drive than my Lexus. So that's goes a long way, to be honest. So with that, I think that pretty much covered everything about the driving experience. Steering's good, ride is good. Just wish they could fix some of those micro bounces inside of the cabin, but it's a pretty taut suspension, so what do you expect, right? Let's go ahead and let's look at that interior now. Okay then, well, one thing's good about this car, and that's getting in and out of it. It's very easy, and I will say probably one of the highest quality things about this vehicle is probably this door, both the door handle and just like the weight of the door itself. I kind of said this in the brand new Cadillac XT6 review. Cadillac does a great job with the door weighting, so that's very good. But let's be honest here, that's kind of where quality kind of just dips off, because everything else in here just actually it's not even really something to complain about, because that 2013 S-Class is a lot like this. Nice crunchy materials all around. It is what it is. I mean, these aren't, I'm not going to lie to you, it's not like a quality made vehicle. I think everybody knows that about Cadillacs, especially these older generations. But the reason why I don't really have a problem with this is because it's $5,000. I mean, for 20 grand, yeah, I would have a problem with this. But for 5Gs, honestly, I don't really care, because this is, for the most part, a pretty well laid out interior. Like, I like the ergonomics of all the buttons and all that good stuff, but it's just, it's not like put together well, and that's all luxury cars, to be honest. Other than Lexus, like every luxury car you get into is almost kind of going to be like this. Nice, creaky, crunchy, weird, like, they're going to be comfortable. This is just like the S-Class, big plush seats. You can be a real big boy in here and have no real issues, so that's pretty nice. And another thing to note, this is an O2 vehicle. This thing is chock full of like a bunch of little features and stuff like that, but I guess I'll first, I'll talk about these seats. Like I said, very comfortable, plush. They seem to be holding up pretty good. That's probably because it's not like a real genuine leather, but it is a big, thick couch, basically. It's literally like a sofa, basically. Cadillac always known for that big plushness of the interior. Everything is, soft touch materials, to be honest, even down here. So that's pretty nice. I mean, comfort should not be an issue in here. The steering wheel, it's huge, but I do like it. I love thin rimmed steering wheels. I always think that's very baller. But let me cut this bad boy on for you guys. So this is the key. You got a traditional key here. It's O2. You know, it is what it is. And you have, like, you know, this little smart key fob thing here. You can open up the trunk from here, unlock the doors, panic, all that good stuff. So you take this key. It's got its own little housing right here, and you just turn it on. Turns right on. And this thing, everything about the electronics in here, it moves so quick. I don't understand. Everything is so fast. Like, slow it down. And, you know, you're gonna do like these little micro adjustment things, which is nice, I guess, but it's just kind of weird. It's not smooth, but whatever. Every little like electronic in here works, actually. All the doors are one touch auto, except for the rear. Continue on. I will say one of the craziest things about this car is the parking brake. You put this thing down, right? You better make sure your shin is out of the way, because as soon as you put this thing into gear, it pops out like crazy. I absolutely split my shin in 2 pieces when that happened. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, I was not prepared for that. Otherwise, you know, that's probably the biggest complaint I have about this interior. But otherwise, you know, the color choices in here, it's a beige car with beige wood. This is not beige colored wood, but it's just beige because it's in this car. You would think that this whole color combination is so boring, the exterior, interior, but honestly, the paint quality of this is actually really high quality. Cadillac has always had like the best paint quality, basically. And this interior color, I mean, it's a light colored interior, so I mean, it kind of livens it up a little bit with this kind of grayish steering wheel. Leather is holding up extremely well. So is the wood. It's not cracking like it is in the some of the Lexus cars I've been in, so that's pretty good at least. This shifter color is kind of depressing. I don't even know what happened here. It's kind of like faded out, which is interesting. And I guess I'll talk about some of these cubby spaces a little bit. There's no real place to put a drink in here. You know, being a big fat American car, you would think that you can put like a 2-liter can of Pepsi in here, but you can't. This stupid cup holders are useless, and the door pockets are also pretty useless. You can put you can pretty much put like a 1990s or early 2000s paper map in here. That's kind of what it's made for. And you know, the space in here is not bad. That's useful space in there, and it's like a dual opening thing, so that's interesting. Again, crunchy, makes a lot of noises, but not a big deal. As far as the glove box goes, you have a 6-disc CD changer in there, and a pretty decent amount of space. I don't see the manual in there. It's probably the dealer guys have it, but not bad. Should be enough space in here. Plenty of space for human beings, that's for sure. 5'11". I mean, there's infinite adjustment. Everything's all, like, electric, everything. It's kind of why I suggest a warranty, and you can pretty much buy any car as long as you get a warranty. This thing, $5,000, or actually under $5,000 with the warranty. Phenomenal little daily driver. I think probably the only problems you're gonna have is like the gas mileage. That's not so great in this car, but otherwise you're gonna love driving this thing, and you're gonna love just the feel of it and the fact that you're pretty much poly walnuts in here. So let me go ahead and let me show you a couple of these other interior treatments here. All right, so first thing, AC blows beautifully, love that. And you have physical controls, obviously, no infotainment to be seen at all. And you have your Bose sound system, old school Bose that is, and of course the traditional shifter that I was talking to you about, as well as a traction control off button. And so the steering wheel, a little up close look, you know, control your temperature from there, your cruise control, all that good stuff, your volume. This is kind of where the excitement is, right here. There's your twilight zone, your headlights, your gas cap, your trunk controls, and your in general like gauge controls here. So these are actually not a physical gauge. I know it kind of looks like it is, but it's like this hallucination, basically. it's a holographic thing. You know, see that? It just turned off, so it's not physical. It's gone. There's that hypersonic, you know, steering control there, and shows you everything you need to know. Pretty traditional looking otherwise. And see here, you have your window control. These are your window switches. Don't mistake that for anything else. Just a whole bunch of other like controls and stuff. You do have memory seats in here. Keep in mind, this is a big body vehicle. This is supposed to be Cadillac's answer to Mercedes S-Class, Lexus LS, stuff like that. So it is filled with electronics. I mean, that's kind of what this thing is all about. So this is a very advanced vehicle. Like I said, oh yeah, night vision. The party piece with this. So you do have that. But overall, I mean, it's a comfortable interior space. It's a plush one. It's just that, get used to this. One good thing is when I was driving this though, the creaks and rattles weren't that bad. So that's pretty good. I think I did notice something coming from up here though on the dash, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's a pretty baller vehicle. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get into the rear seats, talk about the trunk, and end this review off. Alrighty, well, what's a big body car without talking about the rear seats, right? Pretty much Maybach levels of space back here. That should not be an issue. You can be like a 9-foot like basketball player, no real issues. Headroom, not an issue. Neither is this. I'm pretty much just slouching all the way back here. I have so much space, I don't even know what to do with it. I think this is pretty much on the same category. Yeah, I can cross my legs in here just like I can in the LS. So much space, ridiculous. That should not be an issue to anybody. One cool thing is you do have HVAC back here, as well as your fan controls, all that good stuff with a little display as well. And you do have ashtrays, again, cheap flimsy plastic for the opening of the ashtray. And you have your window controls, all that good stuff. More useless door pocket spaces, and you do have these nice big chrome door handles, which is probably the most highest quality thing about this interior. And again, the plushness continues. It's so damn comfortable in here. You have this armrest. It's like this big piece of padded leather. It's probably not even original leather, and I don't care because it's so soft. Yeah, I mean, this should not be an issue. And you do have a pass-through in here, and you can actually put down these seats as well. So actually a pretty practical vehicle. One of the benefits of being a front-wheel drive vehicle is that because usually in the rear-wheel drive cars and luxury cars anyway, they don't let you fold down the seats in the back. So nice to see you can do that here. And one interesting thing, this, now that I'm looking at it, like this seat is so ridiculous and chunky, and also the seatbelt holder is like this big piece of plastic. Like it looks like somebody's cranium right there. It looks like a 6-month-old baby's cranium right there. It's crazy. Just a uniquely designed vehicle, that's for sure. And I guess I'll end off talking about the trunk. You can definitely put like 8-9 bodies back there. Classic Sopranos vehicle. Everybody in the show had one because it's just that huge. And if I didn't mention this already, this thing is 207 inches long physically. So identical to the Mercedes S-Class that I reviewed. And that Mercedes they only make that in a long wheelbase. There's no short wheelbase, there's no mid wheelbase. It's just a big ass wheelbase. And this is the exact same size as that. So it should, that says a lot about this thing. So with that, let's go ahead and let's talk about the conclusions. All right, so let me level with you here. This car, I have some kind of strange attachment to it. I really just like it. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. This thing drives amazing. I really enjoy driving this thing. It's surprisingly fun to drive, unlike how most journalists would make this seem or make out to be, especially when this thing first came out. I mean, I'm sure this is probably that generation where Cadillac got that ridiculous, well, I guess even back in the 60s, 70s, they're pretty big floaty vehicles. Back then maybe, but these early 2000 vehicles, they actually are extremely taut vehicles. I love how these things feel. They're surprisingly kind of on the firm side. I think it has something to do with the suspension setup in this with that variable thing that's going on with that. So it's always adjusting to the road environment. But that aside, it's still really comfortable. It's still a Cadillac. I mean, it's super comfortable still. And also the fact that this thing was featured in just about like every movie, every like mob show out there, just makes it a really cool car. You see everybody driving around these things, and it's really awesome. And growing up, I even had this thing as a poster on my wall growing up. So there's that too. But for the price, and that's the main thing. That's the biggest charm of this car and why I mainly want to review it. It's a $5,000 Cadillac. with like less than 100,000 miles on it. This thing is in better shape than like a lot of vehicles I've actually seen on the road. Like I've seen cars with like, you know, a rear window missing and they cover it up with duct tape. I mean, that's just ridiculous. This is a nice, extremely clean example of a Cadillac of this generation and year. Cary Imports always gets like these extremely clean cars somehow. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I think most people would find this to be in like perfect condition. Obviously, when you nitpick it, and it's not even nitpicking, the interior is honestly the worst thing about this car, and the only real con. When you look at it, it's fine, but when you start playing with it, touching it, and I guess, you know, you shouldn't be doing that in a vehicle. You shouldn't be pressing up against all the panels, but when you do, everything's creaking, everything's rattling, but not much any different than like a Mercedes or an Audi or an old BMW. Like they're all kind of poorly made interiors, so it just is what it is. But people love these things because of the unbelievable charm, just how crazy cheap you can get them. Any car is a fine buy as long as you get the warranty. So you pay $2,000 and get Cary Imports like pen warranty or whatever. It'll cover everything top to bottom, electronics, air ride suspensions, all that stuff, and you're pretty much good to go. So I would highly suggest you looking into that. And for 7 G's, you're getting an unbelievably cool car that you're gonna love driving every single day. This honestly felt so similar to driving that Mercedes S-Class. It's not even funny. It felt that similar to me. And that engine is really potent. You know, that North Star 4.6 liter, 300 horsepower. It's really not bad. Being front wheel drive, it can be your all-round, all-year car too. So there's a lot that I absolutely love about this vehicle. So my love for it definitely outweighs all the little problems that it has. So with that, with a warranty, you should be a very happy camper. So if you're interested in this vehicle, Cary Imports, they do house this vehicle. If you're interested, if you're in the area, or even if you're out of state and you want to just look at their inventory, I'll leave their website down below. I come here all the time, so if you want to kind of see what cars I'm pretty much going to be working on next, you can see that. You can also follow me on Instagram at exhaustsports, and if you want to be a VIP member of Exhaustsports Auto, you can join the Patreon thing that I've created. So with that, that pretty much ends off this review. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.